Good evening, everyone. Thanks so much for being here tonight. We're so glad to see all of you, see your faces and see your names. My name is Alexis Nelson, and I work as the Director of Campus Life. And we are so excited tonight to introduce you to our orientation team and welcome you all officially as Saints to St. Martin's University. So to get us started tonight, we're just going to have our team go around and introduce themselves so you know who's here tonight, who you can ask questions of. We'll do an overview of the evening and then we'll get started. Just to introduce myself a little bit, I've been at St. Martin's for just over 2 years. And in my role, I oversee the orientation programming as well as so many fun events and activities. In my office, we work with our student government, with our campus activities board, with our Veterans Center, with our Trotman Union building and all the students who work at the front desk, as well as several other things. So we always like to say, we really want you to get involved and we will do everything within our human capacity to get you involved on campus. So with that said, I'd love to hand it over now to Chandra, the Assistant Director.
Hi, everybody. My name is Chandra Whitkey. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Assistant Director of Campus Life. So I'm Alexis's counterpart in the office, and I work primarily with our Campus Activities Board, who puts on programs for the campus community throughout the year. But I also do co-lead orientation, and I work in various other capacities in the office, including working with our marketing and social media. And I will hand it off to Sam.
Hi everyone, I want to apologize in advance for my horrible lighting. I don't know what happened, but I'm Sam. I'm a student orientation coordinator. I'm an incoming sophomore at St. Martin's and I'm studying education. And I'm also on the campus activities board, so you'll probably see me around campus at all the events and all of that.
Okay, then we'll pass it on to Kita.
Hi, y'all. So my name is Kita. Hopefully you can hear me okay. And I am an incoming junior at St. Martin's studying business administration with a concentration in management. And I'm also one of the student orientation coordinators for this year. So we've been doing a lot of like summer orientation planning and the upcoming Incipia Welcome Weekend planning. But yeah, on campus, I recently founded the Asian Student Association, and I'm also going into my second term on ASMU, which is our student government, being the Senator of Business. So if you're interested in business, economics, or accounting, please talk to me. I'm your go-to person. And also, if you're interested in joining the Asian Student Association, come talk to me as well. I'll be happy to answer any of your questions. I'm glad to see everyone here. And I'll pass it on to Cheyenne.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cheyenne. I'm from Maui, Hawaii. I'm currently a business management major, and I am one of the student orientation coordinators. On campus, I am a part of the student government here. I'm the executive treasurer. And if you are on NORSHA next year, let me know because I'll be on NORSHA next year as well.
Great. And then we'd love to hand it over to our advising colleague, Andrea.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. As Alexis said, I work in the Advising Center, which is part of the Center for Student Success at St. Martin's. You'll hear a lot more from me later, but we're excited to meet with all of you early next week, Monday or Tuesday, to get you registered and signed up for classes, and we can't wait to see you. Thanks.
Okay, wonderful. So with that said, I'm going to officially share my screen and we're going to do a little PowerPoint and go over our schedule for the evening so you all know what to expect. So just hang tight for 1 second here. And here we go. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Is the PowerPoint showing? Okay, great. So Today's schedule will start, as we said, with a welcome, which we have done, and then we'll talk a little bit about why do we do orientation? Why are you here? That's a common question that we get. Why is this necessary? Why is it required? Then, as Andrea said, she'll go into a conversation about advising and registration for fall semester. So what do you need to know academically as you're starting out? How will you register for classes? Then we'll talk our orientation team a little bit about preparing for fall semester. So between now and the end of August, how can you be preparing? What should you expect? What are some concrete details? And then we'll have a lot of time at the end for questions and answers. So we invite our student orientation coordinators here so that you can ask their student perspectives. So you don't just get our staff perspectives. We want them to be able to share a multitude of different perspectives from different backgrounds. So please write all your questions down and keep them handy. Don't let them fly out of your head too quickly because we'd love to answer any questions. So with that said, we're just going to jump right in and talk about why do we do this thing called orientation? And I'm going to start out by handing it over to Cheyenne to share a little bit about the concept of family.
Awesome. Thank you, Alexis. When I think of St. Martin's, I think of family. I firmly believe that St. Martin is where lives are changed forever, whether it be in the classroom and learning about new things or the connections we make along the way with getting involved on campus with clubs and organizations or anything else you may be involved in as well. One thing I can say is that orientation is important because it's the foundation of all these things. In order to go on an adventure, you first need the map to guide you there. We will teach you about the different resources and involvement activities on campus, but it's up to you what you want to make out of it. Sometimes all it takes is a little hand reaching out to yours to remind you without a doubt that these are the best days of your life. We are here and want to see you succeed, so don't be afraid to ask questions and fully immerse yourself in this orientation. People at SMU here want to genuinely support you, be there for you, and see you succeed. We're all family. Make these 2 hours worthwhile, and we're so excited to see y'all in the fall.
Okay, thanks so much, Cheyenne. And then I'm going to talk just a little bit on a very pragmatic perspective about why orientation from just a really tangible vantage point. And that is for those of you who've been outdoors people or pretty serious outdoors people. When I got to Washington, I learned that there's this thing called the 10 essentials. And that is if you are going out on an adventure, and this is mostly for outdoors things like skiing or hiking or backpacking or whatnot, that you should basically have 10 things that you put in a backpack so that as you're on your journey, you will be as successful as possible no matter what comes your way. So things like a compass and sunscreen and something to start a fire and a knife, extra food, so that whether it's an avalanche or it's like a hot sunny day or unexpected snow or you get off the wrong path and you need to spend the night, somewhere in the woods, that you have whatever you need right at your disposal. So you grab it and we'll have a good journey. And the same for college. We hope that orientation is really like the 10 essentials that will fill up your backpack so that once you start the journey and, things unfold as they will, that you have what you need to just grab. And maybe it's an office, maybe it's a specific person, maybe it's an idea, maybe it's a resource, whatever you need is there for you. So for example, like let's say you start, your classes and you work on your first paper and oh my gosh, it comes back and you didn't do very well. You already know that we have a writing center and that we have peer tutors so that you can just jump right in, go to the library and get what you need so that you can keep on rolling successfully. So that's part of another reason, in addition to what Cheyenne described, the deep community building, the friendships, the sense of community that is the trademark of St. Martin's. So with that said, we like to just go over our 4 general goals. That is just briefly understanding St. Martin's approach to education. You know, St. Martin's is different than every other institution, and a couple of things that do set us apart is that we do have a long-standing 125-year Catholic Benedictine tradition that our monks who live on campus in the Abbey started. That is very special to us. That is a part of who we are. When you take classes, you may have monks teaching your classes. You'll see Father Peter, who is our campus chaplain, lives in the residence hall. Brother Ramon delivers our mail. You'll see really tangible, make tangible relationships and see evidence of our Catholic and Benedictine tradition practically every day that you're on campus. And then Andrea will go more into our liberal arts curriculum, but basically the idea is that at St. Martin's, we want you to get a broad overview of disciplines, of ideas, before you jump into your major itself. And she'll talk all about that in just a bit. Then we also want you to start building relationships. So even having us here today, that you'd start recognizing our faces, that you get to know a few of our students, that you'd see each other's names, that's all starting to build relationships. And of course, as Cheyenne said, relationships and community are such a core of who we are at St. Martin's. Then, of course, like I was saying, we want you to be able to identify campus resources. Every single person has a different journey, and we want you in your journey to have access and easy accessibility to what you need. So it might be the counseling center, it might be the health center, it might be the tutoring center, it might be any number of things, but we want you to know what the things that you need are and how to access them so you can be successful. And then finally, we'll talk about some key university policies and community standards as well, especially in regards to COVID. But with that said, then let's see, we do want you to know that at any point during your time, even after school starts, that if you have a question or a comment and you don't know where to go, you can always email us at orientation@stmartin.edu. Our whole team monitors that email inbox, and Kita, who you've probably interacted with already, is the awesome person who will usually respond to your emails. And again, no matter what the question, whether it doesn't matter what office or what person, we'll make sure that your question goes to the correct person and that it gets answered to the best of our ability. So you are never alone. Just let us know at orientation@stmartin.edu if you need anything. And then with that, we are going to hand it over to Andrea to talk about all things academic with you. Let's see. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and then Andrea's going to share her screen.
Thank you, Alexis. Let me just get my presentation up here. Okay. Well, as Alexis mentioned, I am going to spend a bit of time talking about, if I can get my slideshow started, there we go. Okay. But I want to give you some basics about academics that are going to apply to all of you to help prepare for the registration appointment that we'll have on either Monday or Tuesday coming up next week. So some of what I'm going to discuss today. Oh, too much going on. There we go. I'm going to start big picture with some of the kind of background pieces that you want to keep in mind as you're moving through your experience at St. Martin's. So we'll start with, what does it mean? What do you have to do to be able to graduate? Which I hope is everyone's goal, is to leave St. Martin's with a degree. We'll talk more about the details of our core curriculum, which is our general education program. Then we'll talk a bit about what to expect from classes, how they might run, and some expectations of you as a student. We'll look at what is coming up in your registration appointment early next week, and then some next steps that happen from here. So let's dive right in with the graduation requirements. So as I said, I hope everyone's goal, along with other things, there's many reasons to come to college, but a main purpose is to receive your education. And the best way to advance your career or your future ambitions or your personal goals is to complete the degree, an academic program and earn a degree. So how do you do that? Before you can earn a degree from St. Martin's, there's kind of three main pieces that need to be completed. The first is related to the number of credits that you need to graduate. You need to have earned at least 120 credits before you can graduate from the university. If you're on a traditional 4-year plan, the way that breaks down is to an average of about 30 credits a year, or around 15 a semester, as we have 2 semesters, fall and spring, each academic year. Most of the classes that we offer at St. Martin's are going to be either 3 or 4 credits. Some will differ from that. We have some like leadership classes that are only 1 or 2 credits. We also have sciences that when you include the lab, it ends up being 5 credits. So there are some differences, but a majority of them are 3 or 4 credits each. And so if you're looking for an average of 15 credits a semester, that means you can plan on taking either 4 to 5 classes each semester. That's a very standard load of courses for students to have each semester, 4 or 5 classes. The minimum number of credits that you need each semester to be considered a full-time student, which I'm assuming most of you want to be, is 12. And your tuition will cover up to 18. So 12 to 18 is the range that we're going to look at having you enrolled in every semester. And that 15 credit average is kind of right in between there. And I do want to note that that 15 credits is truly an average. It's okay if you're not in 15 credits. I don't want you to worry about it. Just because of how the credits work out, it's very typical for first-year students to have 14 credits in their first semester, and that's totally fine. You'll pick up other credits along the way. Within those 120 total credits that you need to graduate, 40 of them, or a third of the credits you'll earn, need to be in courses that we call upper division classes. And so those are courses that are numbered at the 300 and 400 level. A majority of those you're going to earn through the required classes in your major or from our core curriculum, which I'll discuss more in a bit. So this is just something you'll track along the years with your academic advisor, just like you're tracking your total credits. So it's not necessarily something to worry about, but it is something to keep in mind and keep track of every semester when you register for the next semester's classes. So credits is one piece of the puzzle to earning a degree. You need at least 120 and 40 of them must be upper division. The next kind of area is that you need to fulfill the required courses in both an academic major and the core curriculum. So every student at St. Martin's completes the core curriculum. It's kind of the uniting piece of your education here. So you must fulfill every requirement that's part of that by the time you graduate. So you'll take these classes throughout your entire time here. And you also need all the required elements of the major. If you've completed all but one, you still can't graduate, even if you've met the other elements that you need to complete a degree. And the final piece that also needs to be in place before you can graduate relates to grades. You need to maintain at least a 2.0 grade point average, which is a C average. And I do want to note that some academic majors do require a higher GPA than that. This is just the minimum needed for the university. So make sure you're checking in and know what grades you need for your specific major. So 3 pieces there: total credits, complete all the requirements for your major and core, and maintain at least a 2.0 GPA. Let's talk about how that breaks down a bit when we're looking at the credits. As I mentioned, you're going to be fulfilling core requirements throughout your time here, as well as classes needed for the major. But your academic major will take anywhere from a third to a half of the total credits you need, those 120. Every major has different requirements. Some have more credits than others. The core curriculum takes about another third of your total credits. But those 2 elements together usually do not equal the 120 total credits needed. There are some majors that are pretty tight programs, engineering, education, nursing. But other majors, there's going to be some flexibility in your schedule, and you'll need to earn more credits to get to the 120. These are what we call elective credits, and you can have some fun with these, and you can shape your education a little bit. There's lots of things you can do with elective credits. You can truly take anything you want. Some students like to complete a second major, which is possible. We just want you to talk with an advisor so you can plan that out and what that would look like. Many students will complete a minor. A minor is not required in order to graduate, but it is something that can complement what you want to do and be an intentional way to use the extra credits that you have that are elective credits. A minor is a way to focus in on a topic. It's not going to go as in depth as a major, but it will give you more of a focus area. And there's a couple reasons why you might want to minor in something. It could be that it will enhance something that you want to do in your career. An example I like to give of this is maybe you're interested in being a journalist, but you specifically want to write about discoveries in the science industry. So maybe you're majoring in communication studies so you can learn about the media landscape, what is expected in terms of journalists these days. You're kind of getting into that market, but you could minor in one area of the natural sciences like biology or chemistry or environmental studies, so that you have more content knowledge of what you plan to write about. So it can complement your plans for your future. But you could also minor in something just because you enjoy it. There is nothing wrong with taking time to enjoy your education. I know this is what I did personally when I was in college. I minored in political science because I really enjoyed it, not because I had any ambitions of getting involved in politics in my own career. So there's a lot of ways you can use these classes. You can also look at study abroad. This is something that's a great opportunity. Travel is more difficult at the moment with the pandemic, but we hope in a year or two that things will be much better. There'll be more vaccinations worldwide, and it's going to be easier to travel again. So it's something to keep in mind. So each semester is going to have a mix of these different kinds of classes. You'll have classes from the core curriculum, you'll have classes from your major, you may have classes for a potential minor that you're interested in taking, and they'll all be mixed in together. Rarely will you have a semester where you'll be taking all core classes or all classes from your major. It might happen, but usually they are intermixed together, and all the requirements just need to be completed at the end of your time here before you can graduate. Let's talk, more about the core curriculum. I've mentioned this a few times. This is our general education program here at St. Martin's. And as I mentioned, this is the central piece of education that links kind of the educational experience of every St. Martin's student, because all of you are going to major in something different. Even if you're in the same major, you will use that in different ways. You will take different elective classes within your major. You might have a different minor that complements your major versus what someone else in your major is doing. So all of you are going to have a different educational experience. What's really kind of a uniting piece and will convey what we hope you learn from a St. Martin's education is the core curriculum here, because every student takes it. And it's not all of the exact same classes there either. You will have selection in the classes you take, but it's a unifying experience that you'll have. And this is where the liberal arts values come out as well, that Alexis mentioned earlier, that we are a liberal arts institution. And what that means is that we really value differing perspectives, different ways of coming to understand what is knowledge, what is truth. We like that different academic disciplines approach questions in different ways and have different methods of discovery. And we want to expose you to all of that because that enhances your own perspective. And it also helps you view the world around you and interact with the people around you in a different way. And it links to our Benedictine values as well. So we hope that the core curriculum is a way that you can get immersed in some of these values and enjoy some different perspectives beyond just what you're learning through your major. So an academic major allows you to go really in depth on one specific topic. But the core curriculum will allow you to kind of go broader. You don't go as deep into any one topic, but you get a breadth of knowledge and you get exposure to many different academic disciplines and ways of thinking, which we think is really important. And so the core curriculum is kind of divided up into 3 different phases. You want to work through them in a linear fashion, but it's not concrete. You don't have to complete all of the first phase before moving on to courses in the second. You can kind of mix those courses up a little, but you do want to move through it intentionally. And we'll help you do that when we're helping you register for classes. The first phase is what we call our foundations, and these are classes that we want you to take sooner in your experience rather than later, because they really help build some skills that will be foundational and help you in all the other classes you take moving forward. The second phase is what we call our conversatio seminars, and this is where you're going to really have a chance to take classes from different major academic disciplines and learn different approaches, which is fun, and you have some selection in what you take there. And then the final phase is what we call our Ora e Labora seminars. And I think these are really fun, cool classes because these are interdisciplinary, excuse me, in nature. And it'll take a topic or an idea that's linked to our Benedictine values and explore it from a lot of different academic perspectives. So these are pretty unique and cool classes. So let's talk a little bit more in depth about the classes in the foundations level. This is kind of that first phase I was talking about. And these are classes we want you to take sooner rather than later in your educational experience. So you may sign up for one or more of these in your first semester. The first class is Core 100, which is our first year seminar. Every single one of you will take a Core 100 course this fall. All new students to the university that are first year students take our Core 100 first year seminar. And it's a great class because while it does have a topic and it is academic in nature and there's a focus, you're also going to learn some about St. Martin's, specifically how to be successful here, how to transition in, and what does it mean to be a college student, what's different here versus high school. There's also a common text that you'll all read, the Common Reading Book, which Alexis will talk a little bit more about later, which is really cool as well. So if nothing else, all of you will leave your registration appointment with a Core 100 class as part of your schedule. Next is Core 110, which is religious studies. As we've mentioned a few times tonight, we are a Catholic Benedictine university. And so we think it's really important that students have an understanding of how religion shapes viewpoints, our culture, our history, all of these pieces. And so we do want you to take a religious studies course. It's academic in nature. There's no background knowledge that's needed. You don't need to come from any specific type of faith tradition, but we do think it's important to study religion. So everyone will take this course while they're here as well. Core 120 is our writing course. We want everyone to take writing in their first year. So you may not take it this fall, but if not, you'll definitely take it this spring. And we asked you to take the writing placement. So you'll either sign up for English 100 or Core 120 this fall, and we'll get you going in that as well. Core 130 is our math requirement, and this class is a little different from some of the others in the core curriculum. Normally for a class to count towards a core requirement, you have to take the core class. You take Core 120 or Core 110. But for math, if you are in a major that requires you to take math as part of it, so any of the sciences, nursing, you take statistics, engineering, there's a lot of classes that require you to take math. That math class you take as part of your major can fulfill the math requirement for Core 130, and you don't need to take anything else. However, if your major does not require any kind of math, literary studies as an example, then you can take the Core 130 class specifically, and it will count as a more generalized math class for you down the road. And the final class in the foundations is Core 140, which is our world languages and cultures. We strongly encourage every student to study foreign language because we do think it's important and can help you in your future. But this course is only required for students who are earning a Bachelor's of Arts degree. So those would be our social sciences, humanities, business is a Bachelor's of Arts, education is a Bachelor of Arts, but other degrees that are more scientifically based do not need to take this. They're not required. So next is the 200 level courses, and these are totally appropriate for you to take now as well. And this is where I was saying we want you to explore some different major academic disciplines. So there's 5 different categories of courses here at the 200 level. The 210s explore the humanities, 220s, the social sciences. 230s is a natural science with a lab. And this again is like the math where it can overlap with the major if your major requires you to take a science with a lab in it. Core 240 is arts and core 250 is history or politics. And I talked about these as categories because within each area, there's multiple courses offered around different topics, and you can choose which one you want to take. But you need one class from each area. So 5 different courses total, one from each area. The science, the core 230, can overlap with your major if your major requires science. But just like the math previously, if your major does not require a science with a lab, communication studies I mentioned earlier, but that's another one that's good. You can take the core 230 class more specifically. So again, these will take kind of throughout your first few years, but it's okay to take them starting now as well. And then the final level, this is the interdisciplinary classes I mentioned before, the 300 level classes that are around different topics. And you'll notice we have 4 different courses that we offer, and I've listed out the topics here. There's 4 courses, but you choose 2 of them. So you have some choice in what you take, and you don't need to complete all 4 of them. You take 2 of them before you graduate. And these ones we do encourage you to do later. We want you to complete most of the 100 and 200 level classes before you would take one of the 300s to provide adequate background and exposure to different academic disciplines to really get the most out of these courses. So that's kind of the core curriculum. Now, I know I get questions from students all the time about transfer credit. So let me try to address a few of those right now. Many students come in with some kind of credit already, either because they did Running Start or kind of the dual enrollment when they were in high school. So you earned some college credit at your local community college along with taking classes in your high school. We also have students who participate in the National Baccalaureate program or may have taken AP exams, and those are all ways to earn credit as well. Some of the core curriculum can be fulfilled by the credits you bring in. So we will go through that with you in your registration appointment next week. We'll talk through what are you bringing in and how can it be applied, what is fulfilled for you already, and what do you still need to complete. So we'll talk with you about that if you're bringing in transfer credits. Now, if you've already earned your AA degree through doing Running Start, then most of the core curriculum is going to be fulfilled for you. There's 3 classes we still want you to take though. We still want you to take Core 100, which is the first year seminar, Core 110, Religious Studies, and Core 340, this Ethics and the Dignity of Work that you see here. So otherwise you're pretty much fulfilled with the core curriculum and can focus more on your major, but we'll talk through that with each student individually in your registration appointment. But we're excited to help you realize what you've got and explore the opportunities that are in front of you with the core curriculum. So let's talk a little bit about how classes might be formatted, what to expect, what faculty might expect of you, and just what are some general rules now that you're looking at transferring into university life. So we already have experience with college level work, but it's a pretty different experience just in terms of the environment between a community college and a university. So there are some differences that we want to talk about as well. I do want to talk a little bit about in-person versus online classes. Who knows where we're at in the pandemic these days? It looks like it's getting better and now it's getting worse again and no one really knows what's happening. But we do have the vaccine now. We do know how to deal with it much better than we did previously. And so our plan at St. Martin's is to return as much to in-person learning as possible this fall. That being said, we are still going to offer online classes. We've always offered online classes even before COVID, and we still will after. But if your desire is to do mainly in-person classes, we can definitely set that up for you. If you're a little wary and still want some online, we can discuss that as well. But it will be hard to have an all online option moving forward, like we did previously during kind of the heart of COVID last year. Speaking of COVID, I want to do a plug. If you have not yet turned in your documentation showing either that you've received the vaccine or are in the process of getting the vaccine or applying for an exception. We want you to turn that in as soon as possible. We absolutely need a report from 100% of our students and staff and faculty. It's not just students, it's the entire community. We need to know either that you are vaccinated or that you're asking for an exception, and we have to have that on file. The reason that's so important is because of guidelines from the state, we cannot lift some of the restrictions that we put in place previously for COVID unless we have 100% reporting. Why is that important? How does that affect you? Because it's so important we get the status. If you have not turned in your documentation, if you plan to live on campus, you won't be able to move into the residence halls. And whether or not you're on campus or not, we won't let you attend and start classes. That's how serious we are about this. Because if we have to keep these restrictions in place, it's going to be really hard for us to do classes because we do not have enough classroom space to be able to keep up the amount of distancing that is being required under the COVID restrictions and guidelines. Last year we were able to make it work because so many of our classes were offered online that the ones that were offered in person, we could hold in our larger classroom spaces. So we had adequate distancing. But we just don't have enough classroom space to be able to only use part of our classrooms. We need all of them, even the smaller ones. And we can't reduce the number of how many students are in the class because then we'd run out of space for all of you to take things that you need. So it truly is like we cannot function the way we need to if we don't have these restrictions lifted. And the only way we can lift the restrictions is if we have 100% reporting. So I don't mean to hammer this home too much, but I'll move on, but it's very important. So just make sure you get that in if you've not already. So anyways, as I was saying, we're primarily going back to in-person classes. We need these restrictions lifted, but we do still have some classes that are being offered online as we always have. But a lot of our online classes, not all, but a lot of them, most of them, I would say, are offered in a slightly different format. And so I just want you to be aware of what that is. I mentioned before that our academic year is divided into 2 semesters, fall semester, spring semester. They're 16 weeks each. But our online classes are often in only half a semester. They're only 8 weeks at a time, and we offer 2 different sessions each semester. So there's one the first half of the semester, that's our fall 10 session, and one the second half, that's fall 11 session. But these classes are still the same amount of credits. It's just offered in half the time, which means they move at a quicker pace, which means you have a heavier workload while you're in that class. And so it can just throw off the balance of your semester. And you're totally welcome to take these classes. I'm not telling you not to take them. I just want you to be aware that it is going to throw off the balance of your semester. And so just think about that. If that's something that you're looking to take, talk to your advisor when you're registering next week about how that might work. And then academic expectations. I do want you to attend class always, unless you cannot. There are times in life when you can't. Life happens sometimes. You get a flat tire on the way into campus, or you're sick. And we certainly have learned through the pandemic that if you're sick, stay home. We don't want you, excuse me, we don't want you potentially infecting other people, and you also need your rest. So if you can't make class for some reason, then don't go to class. But the main thing is attend if you can. And if you need to miss, please be in communication with your faculty members so they know why you're not there and you're able to be in touch and get the information you need. We're not a large institution. I'm sure part of why you chose St. Martin's is because we are a smaller campus. And so it's noticeable if you're not in class. Our classes aren't huge. So please be in communication with your faculty anytime you need to miss class. And then I want to talk a little bit about email. I know email is not the most glamorous, fun way to communicate these days, but it is still the best way that we have to convey larger amounts of information to a larger group of people. And so it is the official way that the university will communicate information to you. So any information that comes to you through your St. Martin's email account you are held responsible for knowing. So notifications from the university that you get through your email, you're expected to know that. And you're also going to have faculty that will email as well, things for class. They may want you to turn in assignments by emailing papers to them. There's lots of different ways that it will be used. And so I want you to get in the habit now of checking your St. Martin's email account very regularly, at least once a day. If you don't want to check multiple accounts, you can set up your St. Martin's email to forward to your personal email that you use. That's fine. But again, you want to make sure that you're checking that regularly. The same goes for knowing information in your course syllabus. All your faculty members will give you a syllabus at the beginning of each semester, and it's like an academic contract. It'll explain what you'll do in class, when assignments are due, grading policy, attendance policy, how many points each different assignment is worth. So all the information in there is you're going to be expected to know. And so it's good to read through those at the beginning of the semester as soon as you receive them. One thing that I hear often from students is that takes a little bit to adjust to is getting used to how to best utilize your time, because your schedule is going to look pretty different from how it may have previously. You're not necessarily going to have class from a big block of time in the day. It's not going to go from 9 to 3 that you're going from back-to-back classes. You may only have a couple classes a day because most of our classes don't meet daily. They might be twice a week or 3 times a week, but they're not going to meet every day. So you might have a class Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 9 a.m., and then nothing else again until 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So you'll have a break in the middle. And so learning how to utilize the times in between classes, maybe it's enough time to do a work shift, or maybe it's not enough time. So that's when you want to grab lunch or check email or drop in and see a faculty member. There's a lot of different ways, but you want to kind of get into a rhythm and figure out how to use your schedule. And you should expect to spend a lot of time studying, because a lot of what you're going to learn is going to be outside of the classroom. You're going to spend a lot of time working on assignments, working through problems for math, or reading through things that you need for a class. And then classroom time might be spent discussing that material, but a lot of the work you'll be doing on your own outside of the class. So expect to spend more time studying than you probably have previously as well. But I want you to know that we do have help and support for you in all of this, because we want all of you to be successful. I mentioned before that my office, the Advising Center, is part of our larger Center for Student Success. We're located in the library, and this is part of the Center for Student Success is that we have student tutors, and I highly encourage you to use them. There's a couple reasons that using the tutors is really great. One is that you've already paid for them with your tuition and they're no additional cost. So it's free to you to use. And these are students just like you who did really well in their classes. And so they were recommended to work as tutors. And so many of them may have had the class that you are in now. If they haven't had that exact class, they at least know your discipline, and they may know approaches of how to study in that area, and they may have had your professor as well. And so they have some insights into how do you study for this area and be successful like they have been. They might have some tips and tricks. They may know how that professor generally formats exams or what kind of writing they like. And so they can give you some clues. And so utilize the student tutors for sure. So let's talk now that we've kind of set the stage on some of these bigger picture things. Let's talk about what to expect in your registration appointment that's coming up on Monday or Tuesday. So at some point this week, it may have just been this afternoon, but I sent you an email as long as you signed up for this registration event. Now, if you are attending tonight and you didn't register for this event through Slate, let me know after, send me an email. We'll try to get in touch because we need to be able to schedule a time to meet with you next week for your registration appointment. But if you did register through Slate for this event, then you got an email from me this week that gave you a time for your appointment on either next Monday, August 9th or next Tuesday, August 10th. If that time won't work for you for some reason, please let me know as quickly as possible, and we will try and reschedule that. Tomorrow, you will receive another email that will be from whomever you're going to be meeting with. Some of you'll be meeting with me, and others you'll be meeting with some other advisors in our office, some of my colleagues. And so we will email you if we're meeting with you tomorrow, and we'll send you a Zoom link for that appointment time on Monday or Tuesday. So check your email. We sent it to both personal and St. Martin's email accounts to find a confirmation of when the time is that we'll meet with you on Monday or Tuesday. Respond to that email as quickly as possible if that time won't work for any reason. Be on the lookout tomorrow for another email that will have a Zoom link for that appointment time and who you're going to be meeting with at that time. One thing is, in preparation for that appointment, we'll be talking you through how to get registered for the classes, but you're going to do that yourself through our self-service system. So to make sure that you're ready for that appointment and can get into your classes, we want to make sure that you know how to log into self-service and can get into that system, and that prior to your appointment, you complete the financial consent forms within self-service itself. The email I sent you this week had instructions on how to do that. And that's important because you can't register for classes until that's done, because basically you're saying you will agree to pay for your classes, and we need that before you can sign up. So just make sure that you've looked through that email, you've completed the financial consents, and you know how to log into self-service, so you'll be able to register at that time. So what to expect from this registration appointment? It's going to be held over Zoom, and you'll meet kind of one-on-one through the screen with an advisor from our office. And so they're going to be talking you through a few things. They'll start by discussing kind of making sure that we know which major you want to pursue. What are some of your career interests? We'll just get some information so we can put you in the best possible classes. We'll review any credits you may be bringing in with you. So again, we can let you know what you may have credit for and what you still need to complete. We definitely will take into consideration and schedule around any special requirements you might have. If you're a student athlete, we'll make sure we schedule classes around your practice time. If you need specific classes because student groups you're in, we'll make sure that happens as well. We'll review requirements for the major that you're going to be in. And then based on all of those pieces, we'll put together the best possible schedule for you this fall. So you're going to select courses in the system, and we'll walk you through how to do this. You'll add them to your shopping cart. It's like you're shopping on Amazon, but you're getting classes instead. As I mentioned before, all of you will take Core 100, which is the first year seminar. Many of you will take a writing class. You'll sign up for this fall or spring if you don't this fall. We'll definitely get you in the right classes you need to get started in your major. For many of you, that might be math or science, but we'll get you some discipline-specific courses as well. Many of you might also take some additional core classes, maybe the language we talked about if you need that, maybe a 200 level course. We'll definitely get you in those. And let us know if you have interest to check out something like a minor course or an elective course. We also have a 1-credit leadership course that some of you will be required to take. Students that are in Act 6, Benedictine scholars, living in the North Shore community, you'll all take that class, but anyone can take it. It'll also be offered in spring, but the reason this is important and you might want to take it is if you ever want to be involved in a student leadership experience moving forward, this is something that they highly encourage you to have. So we can talk about that in your appointment as well. So once you've got all the classes that you want within the system, we'll help you submit your cart so you can save your spot in your courses. We do have tools to help you through this, and so we'll talk you through it. We can send you things electronically. As I mentioned before, you can't register until you've completed the financial consent forms and self-service, so make sure you do that. And then someone on our end will then approve your courses, so you're registered, and we will follow up with an email to you that'll have a copy of your schedule and some next steps information on how to get set up for success at St. Martin's before you come. And one piece of that includes textbooks. I do want to mention that we want to make sure that paying for textbooks, which can be very expensive, is not a barrier for anyone. So if you are concerned at all about covering the cost of textbooks, please talk to us. We do have a lot of course reserves where we have textbooks that you might need for classes in our library that you can use for free. And we also have some funding available to help you out. So please let us know about that. With that, we'll have a lot of time for questions at the end. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I'm going to turn this back over to Alexis. And we look forward to being in touch with and seeing all of you guys next Monday and Tuesday, where we'll get you set up for classes. I'll be around at the end for questions. Thank you all so much.
Okay, thanks so much, Andrea. Awesome. Well, now we're just going to switch gears a little bit, and we just wanted to share what are the things that you need to know for fall semester. So you'll be starting classes in less than a month. Oh my goodness. And so what are the steps that will happen between now and then to set you up for success? So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again. One moment. And we are going to, as an orientation team, just talk about some practical next steps. So, and let's see. So, oops, sorry. So we're going to have Kita talk a little bit about what's called our AHANA Connections pre-orientation program. So let's see, Kita, take it away. And I'll also make you a co-host, Kita. There we go.
Also, thank you, Alexis. So hopefully everyone can hear me just fine. I'll briefly, cannot speak. I'll briefly talk about the AHANA Connections program, which is going to be happening at the end of August. So essentially, I was an AHANA mentee when I was an incoming freshman, so 2 years ago. And last year, I had the opportunity to become an AHANA mentor, which was such a great experience. I love the program so much. What AHANA is a 3-day orientation where our students of color and students of ethnic backgrounds can come together and learn about the campus community, different resources on campus available, as well as just make meaningful connections with people who have shared experiences with you and look like you. So it was a really great experience for me, especially as a woman of color. Coming into a new environment was really daunting to me. I was really, I guess, anxious, but being in the AHANA program, both as a mentee and a mentor, gave me an opportunity to make a lot of those great connections. Cheyenne and I were actually friends during AHANA. So I met Cheyenne during that program. It was so great. And a lot of my friends that I have kept to this day, I met at AHANA. So I really recommend you register. I don't think it's too late. The link is there and it will also be in the chat. But yeah, it's going to be August 24th to 26th. And I forgot to mention a really great way to move in early is to join AHANA, especially as an incoming freshman. So please join if you want that opportunity to move in early. We'll be helping you move in and it'll be great. I think move-in starts at 2 p.m. On August 24th, which is a Tuesday. So yeah, if you have any questions, contact me or the supervisor of the AHANA program, Dr. John Hopkins at jhopkins@stmartin.edu. Thank you.
Okay, thanks so much, Kita. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the program that follows AHANA, which is called our Incipio Welcome Weekend, and I'll hand it over to Sam to share more about that.
Thank you, Alexis. So our Incipio Welcome Weekend is essentially to kind of celebrate your first weekend as an official saint. Woohoo! But it's an orientation program. However, there's a lot more programs set up. This is essentially a great time for you to start making those connections, those friendships, those relationships. We have a lot in store for you, but you're going to learn more about what being a saint is about, and kind of how to navigate your experience. And it all starts here.
Okay, thanks so much, Sam. And just a couple of things I wanted to add. We're actually finalizing the Incipio schedule as we speak. And we do want to let you know that families and guests are invited for part of Incipio Welcome Weekend. So what we do is called a convocation. It just means to begin. And families and guests are welcome to participate. They just go and sit in the audience in our pavilion. And then all of you as new students will walk down the old main staircase, that staircase on the photo here. and into the pavilion and be seated. And then there's a whole address. All of our faculty, staff, and new students will be there. And the president and other folks, including our student government student body president, will give speeches to start off the new year. And then after that, families and guests and students and everyone will go to what we're calling our family farewell reception. There'll be past hors d'oeuvres, and we'll have a nice time outside where families and guests can say goodbye to their students. And then from there, students will move on and do student-centered events for the rest of the weekend. And I'll put our draft schedule in the chat with a link, and you can kind of take a look, but it starts at noon on the 27th, as Sam said, and then it continues all day Saturday and all day Sunday. So please clear your calendars for that. Tell work you can't work, and family, no vacations that weekend, and come join us so that you can just do a deep dive. Okay, fabulous. And then Chandra's going to share a little bit about what's called our Core 100 Common Reading Book.
Yes, so your Core 100 book this year is So You Want to Talk About Race by Ijoma Oluo. And that is a book that you will be reading with your Core 100 class, or I guess more accurately, discussing with your Core 100 class. Hopefully you will have read it by the time it is time to be discussed, which I'm told is during the first week of classes. So you will be given this at Welcome Weekend. So definitely read it when you get it. You are, of course, welcome to get it on your own if you would like, but you will be given a free copy at Welcome Weekend. So you aren't required to buy this if you don't want to. That's totally up to you. But this book talks obviously about race. It talks about the Black Lives Matter movement and white privilege and different ways of interacting with one another. And so that is what you will be discussing with your classes this year.
Okay, thanks so much, Chandra. Okay, I'll just say a little bit. Andrea already covered a lot about our COVID health and safety reporting. But just to reiterate, because you won't hear an end to it, if you have not done so already, all of the reporting was due August 1st about COVID. And so be sure to submit, if you haven't already, your immunization status. It is required to get an immunization for all students unless you have a medical exemption or a religious exemption. If you have a medical exemption, you do need your healthcare provider to write and sign a letter stating the reason for the exemption. If you have a medical a religious exemption, then you'll need to interface with our health center. So please, if you have any questions, contact our health center. They're happy to answer any of your questions, but please turn that in. That'll just ensure that we can have a really fun year ahead, that we can keep all of our student activities and clubs and events, and as Andrea said, our in-person classes, so that we can all have a wonderful year ahead. I also wanted to let you know that there will be continued COVID-19 testing on campus. We have thousands of rapid tests available. So if ever you're concerned that you may have been exposed to COVID or could have COVID, you just drop by the health center and they'll give you a quick 15-minute rapid test. If it comes back positive, they'll do a more formal lab test to ensure that those results are accurate. And then there are quarantining and other processes on campus. So we'll share more about that during Incipio Welcome Weekend. But for now, just get your information into the system, please. Okay, now we're going to hand it back over to Kita. She's been working on some excellent online modules that'll prepare you even more for fall semester. So Kita, if you want to take it from here.
Yeah, thank you, Alexis. I'll share my screen with you all. So just give me one moment. Hopefully you can see that. And I just want to preference that I cannot see the chat. So I'll answer all questions at the end, of course. And I'll be looking over here because my monitor is like this direction. So, just want to preface that as well. But yeah, welcome to St. Martin's University. We're so glad you chose here to continue your education. And yeah, kind of like what Alexis was saying, I created the Moodle course for you all and it's called the SMU New Student Orientation 2021 course, and I'll dive more into that later. But okay, so, and just like, unmute yourself if you can't see the screen, or if something happened, then I'll be sure to fix it. But yeah, what is Moodle? So Moodle is a software that SMU uses to access online coursework and turn in assignments. So each of your classes will be different, of course, and I would highly recommend you reading your syllabus to know how heavily your course or professor will use Moodle. But this is essentially where you're going to be turning in your assignments, your tests, or even taking quizzes on Moodle. It's kind of like Canvas or Blackboard if you were running Start Student, similar thing. But Moodle is a very user-friendly interface, so it's really easy to access, very easy to use, and I'm like not that techie at all, so take it from me, you'll be fine, you'll know how to use it. I would just make sure to remember your username and password, because that is super important, and it'll ask you to change your password a lot. So yeah, just keep it down somewhere and you'll be fine. But yeah, make sure to read your syllabus to learn more about your specific courses and how they're going to use it. Okay, so once you type in Moodle onto your search engine, you will be seeing this screen, and it says like a login. So you're going to type in your username and password. When you come to St. Martin's, you'll be able to set that up just fine. And if you have trouble setting up anything online, go to the ITS Help Center. They're at the bottom floor of the library. They'll be happy to help you out, and it's all for free. So yeah, you're going to be typing in your username and password in that right-hand side. Okay, so once you type in everything, you're logged in. This is what you're going to see. So all your registered courses will be on this dashboard area. And what you're going to be clicking on is the SMU New Student Orientation 2021 course. And that is going to be taking you to all the resources and all the different things you can access. So I'll go into more detail a little later about that specific course, but yeah, this is basically where all your registered courses will be once you have met with your advisor and put all those courses into your shopping cart, kind of what Andrea was talking about. But yeah. And once you click on the SMU New Student Orientation 2021 course, this is what you're going to be seeing. And I just wanted to say, like, I'm still updating the site as we get new information, as I receive more FAQ questions from you all. I'll be updating that as I, find that I need to. But yeah, I'll be kind of going into the site a little more. But yeah, there's like so many resources that you can tap into here. And they're all for you. And this is going to be open all year, and you already have access to it now. So that's really great. Thank you, IT support, for that access. And yeah, so I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm going to reshare it with another resource for you all. So give me 1 second as I do that. And again, I'll answer questions at the end. But yeah, hopefully you all can see the Moodle course. So this is after you've logged in and everything, and you click on the SMU New Student Orientation 2021 course. Here's kind of like a dashboard. This is like my personal dashboard of all the courses I took last semester. So this is what you're going to be seeing, except tailored to your specific classes. But yeah, click on the SMU New Student Orientation 2021 course here. And yeah, right here you can see all the various different resources for you, how to navigate your campus resources. If you are interested in student employment, getting a job on campus, making that bank, please click on the Introduction to Handshake SMU Student Employment 101 presentation. It'll kind of streamline the process for you and how to actually get a job on campus. This presentation is also in the Introduction to Moodle file right here, and also like different resources. So the academic requirements that Andrea was talking about, how to complete your financial consent forms, which you will have to complete. It's all here, and also how to manage your money. Money matters. That presentation is also available on the Moodle site that you can tap into. What I do want to direct your attention to is the FAQ section. So you would click on FAQs, and they are all here. And of course, I'm still updating them as I see questions come in. But like, let's say you had a question of whether you should bring a car onto campus. You would just type in a keyword car. It's pulled up there. And it says, do I need a car? The answer to that question is, no, you do not need a car if you're coming on campus. However, it is nice to have. And the parking passes are free, but everything is mostly walking distance. And I do think you're gonna find someone who can drive you places if you come to campus. Yeah. But that is how the FAQs work. And also, there is a move-in checklist. So if you are living on campus and you have really no idea of what to bring, or you want to know specifics of what you should bring, click on the move-in checklist. And here we have like a sleep mask, a surge protector, Ethernet cord, plates, bowls, and utensils, and like a Brita filter, a water filter, shower slippers, like all the essentials are on there, and I'm still updating them. So just like refer back to the Moodle as you see fit. But yeah, I truly recommend you check out the Moodle site. It is very useful. And again, it'll be available to you all year. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. And yeah, again, if you have any questions, you can contact me or the orientation email or ITS Help Center if you do need help accessing the Moodle or setting up your password and username. But yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Kita. I just want to reiterate that this Moodle site is just a true treasure trove. And especially for those of you, since we're doing virtual orientation, we don't have you for 8 hours where we can tell you and walk you around to every single resource. And so you are able to just all year long, you'll have access to the site. And again, be sure to use it well, because Kita and our team have done such a good job of every question that we get, we put on that FAQ site. If you don't have, answers to things, again, email us, but everything you need should be on there. So with that said, what we wanted to make sure is that all of you have time to ask questions that are central to you and clear up any confusion that you may have before you really hit the ground in August. So basically, from this point forward, we're going to open it up to all of you to ask your questions. You're more than welcome to type your questions in the chat box, or you're welcome to unmute yourselves and just ask questions. And like I said, we have our 3 students here. So Kita, Sam, and Cheyenne are all current undergraduate students. So if you want to ask a specific question to a student for a student, please do. And then Andrea, Chandra, and I are all here to answer any sort of staff questions or policy questions, whatnot. So feel free to just get some questions started. I do know previously we had a question from someone who has gotten an AA degree, and this would be one for Andrea, and wants to know, like, how long do you imagine it might take to get through SMU and meet all the requirements with an AA degree?
Yeah.
Would you speak to that a little bit?
I will. So when you come in with your AA degree, essentially you come in, like I said, you've completed most of the core curriculum. There's a few classes we still ask you to take here at St. Martin's, and some of the classes you've taken may also apply to your major as well. And they award you 60 credits. So you're at the halfway point of the 120 you need to graduate, and you have junior standing. How long it takes you from there, though, kind of depends on your major. Some majors you can complete what you need to in 2 years to get kind of the extra 60 credits you need to graduate, but other majors take longer because of sequencing of courses or the number of requirements. So when you meet, have your appointment on Monday or Tuesday with your advisor, they can kind of talk with you through that. It really is dependent upon the major and how much credit you have based on what you're transferring in that would apply to that major. So I would say anywhere from 2 to 3 years is kind of the normal amount of time depending on the program you're trying to do.
Okay, great. Great. So I see a question. Is there a page for the Incipio Welcome Weekend with more information? We don't have a website for Incipio, but I hope you saw I uploaded a draft of our schedule. And so hopefully that will give you a lot more information. What I might do is I'll just share my screen right now. And let's see, I'm going to pull up our draft. so that you have a chance to see and we can kind of go through what that schedule is going to look like. So just a moment here. Let's see. Okay, I think this should be it. Okay, there we go. Can everyone see that? Okay. So again, there might be some small changes to this, but the idea is if you're moving into campus as a resident, you'll either move in on the 26th or the 27th. You should have received your housing assignment if you're living on campus, I believe late last week. And so if you didn't receive a housing assignment and you plan to live on campus, please let us know and we'll get you connected with our housing department. But basically, everyone will check into Incipio Welcome Weekend by noon on Friday, August 27th. And in the morning, we just want to let you know that you are able to come to campus early. And at 8 a.m., all of our offices will be open. So you can stop by our public safety office to get your ID card and set up your parking pass. The bookstore will be open. So if you want to drop by and buy some books or buy some SMU swag or whatever you might need, you basically have the morning open. And then right at noon, we'll start checking folks in officially and meeting up in what's called your Incipio groups. And whatever Core 100 class you sign up for is going to be your Incipio group. So you will meet all the people in that Core 100 class on that first day. You'll get together, you'll all introduce yourself and get to know each other. And then we will all transition to what's called a university convocation I mentioned earlier, where you all will walk down the old main staircase, enter into the Marcus Pavilion, and we'll do a formal ceremony to start off the year. Your families, friends, and guests are all welcome to attend that. And then there'll be a farewell program immediately following where you'll get to say goodbye to everyone. And then all of the students will be ushered to their own program at 4 o'clock, where we'll do a more formal student welcome. And then we'll start orienting you to the community. That evening, we'll continue. We'll do a few presentations. You'll have dinner with your Incipio groups. There'll be residence hall meetings for those of you living on campus, and then we'll have a bunch of activities from 7 to 10 p.m. for you to just keep building relationships, getting to know people, having a good time, walking around campus. Then on Saturday, everyone will get started bright and early. We'll have breakfast with our orientation or Incipio groups. Then you'll have an opportunity to meet the president and get your picture taken with Marty, our mascot, outside on the grand staircase of Old Main. Meet in your orientation groups, again, have a meal together. Then we're going to do some resource breakout sessions that our students are presenting about things they think you should know to help be successful. And also just fun stuff like where should I buy coffee around campus, or what's around the Lacey area if you're not familiar with it, all kinds of things. And then we have a really fun scavenger hunt planned through a cool app that we're working on. And you'll get to know physically the campus really well and where all the main resources are located. We'll have dinner with our student government senators, and then we'll do more fun activities in the evening. Then on Sunday morning, again, meal. We'll talk a little bit more about our Benedictine values and do some fun exercises and activities around that. Then we'll have a barbecue and what we're calling our welcome back bash with our campus activities board. We'll have all kinds of fun inflatables and swag and just a good time to get to know each other, a women's soccer game, dinner. And then for those of you who are Catholic or want to participate in the Catholic faith community, we'll have a student mass and a reception with campus ministry. So that's just a broad overview to help you know what to expect in the timeframes and whatnot. And again, you can download the file that I uploaded in the chat. So if you want a copy of that schedule, just click on it and it should download and you can save it on your own computer. Okay, let's see. any questions? I saw one for Sam, and Sam, I saw you respond in the chat, but it looks like, would you just share a little bit about the education program, Sam, and what your path is there?
Yeah, so one of the big things that was kind of confusing for me, I am a first gen college student, so that might have been why. But when you're going into education, if you have like a certain level that you're anticipating to teach, so like for example, I'm planning on going to or towards like the elementary route. As of right now in my college journey, journey, I'm not declared as like an elementary education study. I'm just an ed major. So then next year, when I'm going into my junior year, that's when I will kind of start to declare like what level I want to teach and start going geared more towards those classes. And then Andrea, if I'm like missing any parts, feel free to, but this is my understanding. So I just kind of wanted to share that because that was a little confusing for me as I was entering college. Since, like I said, I was first gen, I kind of had to navigate myself. But if you have any questions about anything, plan a meeting with your advisor. That's how I learned all of that. So they're a very good resource if you have any questions, any confusion, any of that.
Our education advisor is McKenna Johnson, and she's wonderful, and she'll be able to help answer your questions more specifically when you meet with her. But yeah, I think the main difference is knowing, are you looking more at elementary or are you looking more at high school? Middle school is kind of this in between ground, and you kind of want to discuss which route you want to go. And then if you're looking at high school, knowing what you want to teach will also help dictate your path in terms of some of the other classes you might want to take along the way.
Okay, thank you to Andrea and Sam. Let's see, I don't see any more questions rolling in. Does anyone have other questions that they'd like to ask?
I did see there was a question earlier about email and technology, and so I did want to just address that real quick. If you are having any trouble logging into any systems or getting into your email, we do want you to reach out to our technology, our ITS is what we call it, office, and they can help you reset the password to get into that if you need to. Chandra put the link in the chat of how you can get to them, and there it is again. Perfect, thank you. But yeah, that's important that you get that reset and be able to get into it, because that same password is what's going to get you into the systems we need to get you registered in classes next week. So if you're having any trouble with that, reach out to ITS tomorrow and they'll be able to help you.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, other questions?
I have a question. Do you need to bring a printer onto campus, or are the printing systems pretty good?
No, Kita, you do not need to bring a printer onto campus. It'll just waste your space that you have. We have several printers all around campus and all the buildings, or most of the buildings. They work perfect. They're super easy to use. Thank you, Cheyenne, for linking that. But yeah, it's super easy to upload. I would not advise bringing a printer. Do not waste your space and your energy and your funds.
Thank you, Sam. And Cheyenne.
You are provided with, I believe, $10 per year to print things on campus, and I believe there's like 3 cents per black and white, and then like color is like 10 cents. So yeah, use that on campus.
Yeah, I also wanted to let everybody know, Cheyenne put in the chat print.stmartin.edu. That's magical to be able to print anywhere on campus. And just so you know, if you spend more than $10, our student government actually passed a resolution last year that they would cover additional funding for printing. We know certain majors, you have to print a lot more than some other majors. And so if you run out of money, you just let us know. Email orientation@stmartin.edu or myself, and we will put money on your account for you from our student government. So you just request, I think it's in like $10 or $20 increments, and you can continue to request money all year long. So keep that in mind.
Yeah, it's the emergency printer fund. We established it last year through ASMU. It was great. But yeah, there's like a little jot form you can fill out saying how much funding you need, and we'll be sure to provide that to you. Also, like, just use Saints Care. It's also linked in the Moodle. If you have just like any problems at all, whether it's like you're running low on printer money or, you know, you have other issues with technology, just a go-to is like Saints Care. Then we'll direct you to the right people. Yeah. Oh, it's also anonymous if you want to be anonymous.
Yeah, I would say Saints Care is such an amazing resource. And as Kita said, it's in Moodle. But just so you know, if you're ever concerned about anyone on campus, including yourself, you can self-report. And you don't need to have a lot of information about someone, but let's say, you know, you have someone in class who often sits next to you and you've been in class for 6 weeks and all of a sudden that person just doesn't look well. That's all you need is just you have some concern, and it can be really basic, or the person who sits next to you has been missing from class for 2 class sessions and you're a little bit concerned, but you don't know the person's phone number. You know, you don't feel like reaching out directly. This just alerts someone that something might be wrong or that you have some, you know, mild concerns. And that will then bring a team together that on a weekly basis reviews, or I would say on a daily basis, even reviews concerns, and then is able to address them as they come up, depending on the severity and who the person is and what those needs are. So again, be sure to use that. We do like to tell our incoming students too that faculty will often submit a Saints Care report if you know you're not coming to class or you haven't turned in assignments, because they just may not know what's going on for you. So if you receive someone reaching out to you with concern, don't be surprised. I think it's something like half of our students have had reports submitted about them just to make sure that they're doing well. Like we say, St. Martin's is not a place where you can be anonymous. People care for you and they want to know where you are and they expect you to be showing up and engaging. So you won't be able to disappear very easily on the campus. Let's see. I don't see any more questions. Other questions?
There is a question in the chat about if there's a deadline for turning in housing applications. And I don't see a deadline on the webpage, but I think they're still accepting them. Maybe you can confirm.
Yeah, I believe they are. I would say definitely contact housing right away. And just, I would email them and say, gosh, I wanted to turn in a housing application and I didn't have an opportunity. And I feel pretty confident that they'll still be able to fit people in. So be sure to reach out to them as soon as you can and get all the details squared away. Yep, and Chandra just put the housing email in the chat. So housing@stmartin.edu. And if you do want to talk to someone, call them at 360-412-6163. Sorry, there's a loud motorcycle in my neighborhood. So forgive the noise in the background. Yeah, other questions people have?
I have a question.
Yeah, Sam.
So I know there's a lot of events on campus. Are there any catered towards commuter students?
Oh my goodness, that's a great question. There is. We have commuter lunches. Sam and I are both commuters, and I've lived on campus for the past 2 years, so I'm like a new commuter baby. We'd love to see it, but I believe they're the first Wednesday of the month. in the Tub, which is our Trotman Union building, our student union building. It's like very centralized. You can't miss it. It has Tub written on the side of the building. And you'll also see it at Incipio Welcome Weekend when you come onto campus. But yeah, that's where commuters hang out. And there are also commuter lockers in the Tub that you can use. But yeah, commuters have their own event every month, which is kind of fun. So you can connect with other commuters. And yes, lunches are free and it's yummy.
I do also want to add there's cool prizes at commuter lunches. Like in the past, we had like commuter parking spots and they're all the way in the front. So if you don't want to walk to class, totally do that raffle as well. There's also like emergency card kits that were raffled off and all fun prizes throughout all events, not just commuter lunch.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. You'll catch me at those for real.
Yeah, we also have a commuter parking space we raffle off. That's in like the best spot on campus, right in front of Harnett Hall, one of the academic buildings where usually only staff and faculty can park. So that's also a huge win. We do it once a month. So you could be in a awesome commuter spot for a whole month as well. I also wanted to point out that we have free commuter lockers in the Trotman Union building. So you can have a locker your whole semester. You check it out for free. We give you a free lock to use with it. And you can just put whatever you want in there. So maybe you like going to the gym and you just want to store gym clothes in there, or your lunch for the day, or that really heavy textbook you don't want to haul around all the time, or things you don't want to keep in your car. So keep that in mind as well, and be sure to check out the commuter lockers. Also, our Trotman Union building is open and available and accessible to students 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you have to get to campus early because traffic is terrible on I-5, or if you have to stay late because you have an evening class, anytime you have downtime during your day, you can just pop into the Trotman Union building. We have TVs and couches and seating to study and computers that you can check out, and basically anything you might need we have in the building for you to just be a comfortable commuter student.
I saw a question pop up about the financial consent forms that you need to do before you register. All of you got an email from me, like I said, sometime this week with information about the registration appointment next week. And I attached instructions on how to complete those in that email. If you still can't find them, shoot me an email and I'll send them to you again tomorrow. But those forms are actually in the self-service system. So you would log into self-service and there's a tab in there that you would click on that says forms and reports, or reports and consents. I can never remember which one, but you click on that tab and it'll walk you through it. So it's in the system itself. So make sure you can log in first to get into there. And then you just electronically acknowledge the forms. And like I said, the specific instructions leading you through how to do that are attached to the email that was sent to you this week confirming your registration time. So let me know if you have more questions.
I have a question about study abroad. What is like the options for study abroad? Where do you go to if you're interested? Are they even having study abroad? Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't know the specifics about study abroad. That is all organized through a wonderful office we have on campus that also works with our international students. I know it's not really happening a lot at the moment because of restrictions with the pandemic, but it is something. We have a lot of different programs that we partner with. So you can go to countries that they sponsor, or there are universities that we kind of have exchange programs with, and we already have relationships set up with that you can go and do classes over there as well. And so, oh, there you go. So study abroad is part of OIPD, which is the Office of International Programs, and I can never remember. We just call it OIPD. We have a shorthand for everything, but they are wonderful, and they will certainly, if you are interested in checking out, if you have a certain country you've always been interested in, or there's a language you want to learn, stop by their office, just learn more, and then we can help you figure out in the advising center how to fit it into your academic program once you have a better idea of where you want to go and when.
I have a question. So this is a very complex question. What are some dorm essentials for residence hall students? And also the second part is, what do you bring to campus if you're a commuter? And you can give us like a backpack haul, or like you can explain it. Yeah.
Please give a backpack haul if you have one available. I need commuter essentials because I'm a new commuter.
Okay, fine. Just kidding. Okay, so not everything's in here because I have a work backpack too. Lots of bags, but I have gum because I have test anxiety and I need to chew gum. So gum, hair ties, pencils, lead, well, because I use mechanical pencils, and pens. I also, the reason I only bring like 5 utensils, is utensils the right word? I don't know, writing utensils, is because I personally use an iPad for notes. But if you don't, like if you're using a notebook, then you obviously need to bring like a pencil. There's so much going on. A pencil pouch with everything in it, your pens, highlighters, markers, like anything you think you may need, cards, index cards, sticky notes, all of that. But I also have hand sanitizer, I have lotion, I have chapstick, girly products, Tylenol, Band-Aids, you know, all of the like care essentials. And then I also have AirPods, or any type of headphone would work. A laptop charger is nice. A phone charger is super nice. Glasses, if you use glasses. If you have a laptop available, bring a laptop because those are really easy to work off of. You can, between classes, you can go to the tub and do your homework or anything. So bring your laptop, anything you might take notes on. Yeah, a water bottle, snacks. Snacks are very important. Bring snacks. And yeah, that's what's in my bag.
We'd love to see it. I will definitely be tapping into your resources and copy and paste your bag to my commuter bag. But as I mentioned previously, I lived on campus for 2 years. So like the last 2 years, I'm now a junior. So my essentials were just like slippers, not even shower slippers, but just like slippers in general, because I don't like wearing outdoor shoes like in my dorm room because I feel like that's nasty, and like I would need a vacuum all the time, and that's just not a vibe. Lounge clothes, because I also don't like wearing outdoor clothes on my bed, because I feel like, you know, seat germs can transfer onto your bed where you lay your head and everything like that. So lounge clothes, comfortable clothing like sweats or anything, tank tops, things you can layer with. So like jackets, especially a rain jacket because it is very rainy in Washington. But yeah, I really recommend a jacket, and also things like an Ethernet cord. You can get a free Ethernet cord just to make your internet a little stronger at the ITS Help Center. Just ask and they'll give you one. Again, don't bring a printer. That's not really needed here because the printing is so convenient. Mattress pad, toiletries. Don't forget to bring extra contacts. So make sure before you come to college, make sure you have a doctor's appointment set up before you come here, get all your contacts refilled, get all your meds refilled. So, you know, you don't have to do that when you're here because that's a lot of things to worry about. But yeah, those are just some of my essentials. Do you want to add anything, Cheyenne?
Yes, what I brought to school was vitamin D pills. So if you have like seasonal depression, definitely get that. Also, I don't know if you mentioned this already, but like shower slippers, the floors in Parsons, the shower floor in Parsons is very like, you know, you share it with the whole community. So of course you can like, that's all the information I can give you, but yeah, but honestly, just bring that, and also like a shower caddy as well. And yeah, I also recommend like a laptop desk that you can take on like your bed if you want to work on your bed, and you can take anywhere as well. So yeah.
Yeah, we got a question about the taking note situation. I kind of answered it briefly, but to like verbalize it, I prefer taking notes virtually because it's just quicker. However, if you do want to study like later on, I would take your notes virtually in class, lecture style, and then rewrite them in a notebook when you have more time, because that'll help you study and memorize things and just kind of fix your typos in a notebook format. With things like STEM classes and stuff like that, math especially, I like taking notes on a notebook so I can actually like, do everything I need to do. Like business calc, having my business calc notebook was like my essential product, as well as a calculator. Bring a calculator, like a great one, like a scientific calculator. But yeah, I usually prefer virtual. And of course, it also depends on your class and professors. Some of them I don't think would allow laptops. You just have to ask on the first day of class, be like, hey, yo, do you allow laptops in class? Usually they'll say yes, but all professors are different. But yeah, also they know when you're not taking notes. If you have your laptop out and you're like going on YouTube or watching anime or Netflix or whatever, they'll probably find out. So make sure you're actually paying attention and using your privileges, like, don't take advantage of what you got. But yeah, that's my advice.
If you have the funds for it, I would definitely recommend getting an iPad and an Apple Pencil. I know those are very expensive things. So like if you have the funds for it, but no, I definitely recommend it. It's kind of something that you don't know you need until you got it. It makes things very convenient. All your notes are in one place, and it's basically a digital notebook. So, because I don't personally type notes because I don't type fast enough. And paper notes are great, but also with the iPad, like I said, everything's there. And it's just really nice. I like it.
I also want to plug a program that me, Kita, and I think Sam is going to use as well, but it's called Notion. So if you want to keep your virtual notes all organized, you can download the app on your phone or your laptop, and you can just organize your whole life on there and put like your notes in different classes, and you can do a lot of things with Notion. So definitely tap into that.
I would just like to say, since all of you are pro technology, it's okay if you're not like able to do that. If you don't want to type your notes or write your notes on an iPad, like I just want to say that's fine. Like I am someone who's been in college for a very long time, although I'm a staff member. I did school for many years to get where I am, and I always wrote my notes physically, and I never had any issue with that. And I've always enjoyed writing my notes, and studies have shown that writing things down physically helps you remember them. So don't feel some type of way if you can't or don't want to take notes on your computer or an iPad or something. These are just some suggestions from some of our students, but it's totally fine if you want to take notes on paper. That's cool too. I just want to say that.
To bounce off of that, my first semester of my freshman year, I did take notes physically. I literally used the notebooks from Target with the pens I got from Target. Like, you are right, Chandra, taking notes physically is perfectly fine. But yeah, so that works too.
Oh yeah, just like to preference, take what resonates and leave what doesn't. And it goes for like a lot of things that is said in class or is just said in life. Like if it doesn't resonate with you, go live your own life. But if it does, we're here to serve, you all and, give you all advice based on our experiences. So yeah, take everything we say with a grain of salt. Yeah, take what resonates.
Yeah. I don't see any other questions in the chat. Does anybody have a message that someone might have sent them that you want to throw out there now?
Yeah, we get a lot of questions about Wi-Fi and connectivity and if it's strong. Wi-Fi is fairly strong on campus, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. If you do kind of worry about it or are anxious about Wi-Fi, get an Ethernet cord and just plug it into your dorm wall and to your laptop and it'll be fine. It does get a little slow at some points on campus or if a lot of people are using it at the same time, especially in the dorms. So like when we're all registering for classes on one day at 8 a.m., right at 8 a.m., it is so slow because everyone is clicking on that register button so they can get their classes in. But usually that's the only time, and that's like a system thing too, that the system's kind of like overwhelmed. So yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about Wi-Fi. but yeah, that's just based on the FAQs that I get from other students in our in-person sessions. A lot of people are concerned about Wi-Fi, but yeah, use your username and password. I think it's the same as your email to log into the Wi-Fi, your school Wi-Fi.
Someone wants to know if they're going to get an iPad, what iPad should they get?
I personally, I think mine's the 7th or 8th generation. I got like the older one. And that goes because so there's 2 Apple Pencils and they're compatible with different iPads. It's really confusing. It's kind of a burden. But like the 7th and 8th generation, the older versions are compatible with that Apple Pencil 1st gen. So that's what I use and it works perfectly. But if you really want to get fancy, you can get like the iPad Air, and that's compatible with the Apple Pencil 2nd generation. But honestly, any iPad you can get is gonna work and it's gonna work good. We are college, you know, balling on a budget. But no, that's what I have, but there's so many options.
We also get a lot of questions about filing a work order. So if something in your dorm room breaks, if your heater doesn't work, if your when I was a freshman, our bathtub drain got clogged a lot because it was a bunch of girls living there. So if your drain is clogged, file in a work order. You can go to the St. Martin's like website and just type in work order and you'll get the file. And you can just fill it out and submit that. And then people will come into your room and fix it when you are there. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Things get fixed. And again, it's your own adult responsibility to fix things. If it doesn't work, you know, take it to the place where it can get repaired, you know, it's just your regular adult responsibilities. But yeah.
All right, well, I'm not seeing any other questions. If you have them, put them in the chat now. Otherwise, I would say we're good to wrap up.
Well, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. We know that, you know, it's a long evening. It's almost 9 p.m. So thank you for being with us tonight and carving out time from your busy schedules. We know many of you work and that, you know, attending orientations can be tricky. So thank you so much. And please, again, mark your calendars for August 27th through 29th. We can't wait to see you. We have right now about 30 students who are geared up to officially welcome you and walk you through and help you navigate your first days on campus, help you make friends and meet new people, and just get to know the campus. So again, if you have any questions before that, just email us at orientation@stmartin.edu. And then as Andrea said, you'll be registering for classes very shortly. So once you have your schedule, we can't wait to hear about it and get you started as a Saint. So with that said, our students also are happy to answer any other questions that you have. And of course, the staff are happy to answer questions. So be in touch just after the session or anytime in the next month. And we'll see you all soon. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.